Okay, but that's also true.
It doesn't matter.
I mean,
it's not about freedom.
It's
not about
but it is
freedom.
also true.
It's not about freedom. It's about the fact that he thinks that it's bad outcomes. I don't care. Again, I don't care about any of these arguments. You guys are just straw manning and being insanely bad faith, and I'm just correcting you on your misinformation.
We're not.
You are.
Bad faith.
I've corrected you guys over and over on things that he did not say.
I demand the tweets.
Hold on, stop.
You're muted.
No, because you're lying. He literally said over and over that he wanted to improve things for them. So you're lying. You're lying when you say that. And what I'm saying. I didn't say it's the same thing. I didn't say it's the same. If you want to keep sitting there.
But that's what he said, and then you misconstrued it because what's his face?
Okay, I'm voting him out of here. If he's gonna have a different conversation by himself, then that's fine. I already conceded that. If you want to keep arguing it, go ahead, dude. Go argue by yourself. Stop. No, I'm about to mute you guys. This is my entire problem with the debate, because all he was doing was he was trying to get Heem pulled back to reality. Heem's way out here with the freaking crazies. Heem's at way.
Jordan Peterson shit. It is.
All right, I'm muting you guys. Just wait for me to finish, and then I will be. You will be able to talk in just a little bit. Okay.
Obviously, we should try and help poor people, but the same lefties decrying paternalism of the poor will look you dead in the face and tell you it's unreasonable to expect poor people to look up how to cook healthy food. Next, he says, so yeah, obviously we should try and help poor people, but the same lefties The reality is that massive potential for social mobility exists. We already have huge social spending, and a homeless person in the US has more opportunities in a life than a king would have 300 years ago. This is the one that I saw that I was like, pump the brakes, bro. All right. So you can see the ratio here. You can see the ratio. And I in response to this, I said, Doomer be like, the homeless man today can sleep on any subway station vent he wants, while the kings of the past only had the option to rule one measly kingdom. It's all about opportunities. And then my tweet got 825. Listen, Doomer, I didn't mean to wreck you like this, bro. This was never my intention, okay, to get 800 likes to your 70. And after I tweeted this, it like took off. Like this used to only have like 5 or 10 quote tweets when I got to it, and now literally everyone's like, "Hey, like just shitting on him." Brain dead take. This is the dumbest tweet ever. He's getting roasted. Getting roasted. Oh, finally, he says, treating people like they have no agency or potential for upward mobility as an excuse to exaggerate the ills of society is fucking disgusting, and your virtue signaling losers aren't helping anyone by acting like poor people are obviously stuck in their circumstance. And then he's complaining about how nobody will talk to him, So, and then after this destruction, what did he say? Where's his response? Oh, we can debate this on stream if you want. 6 likes. I'm like, would you like to debate your hyperbolic wording? 82 likes. It's not even hyperbolic. It's true. Poor people in the US have things pretty good compared to basically any other group in the world or in history aside from rich people in the US today. And then I'm like, easiest 10K views of my career. Hit me up tomorrow. All right, there you go. That's the preamble.
Okay, so okay, let's think about like Apple for a second. Okay, Apple is owned by the stock. Oh, it's Sassafras. Hello, I missed you. You're so wonderful.
Hey.
Okay. I don't know if you're what I began. I'm beginning my screed against Tom. It's going to be a very high quality screed. Okay. Okay. Here's my screed.
Did you dye your hair?
Me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like
looks
still
nice.
red.
It looks black.
Kinda. I guess in this shitty lighting, I guess it does. But it's like a dark red.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
All right.
I support you. Okay. So here's my screed. If
I gotta
the
fix
government,
this. This is horrible. I'm not even
If the
on the
government-
screen now.
Tom, how dare you interrupt my screed? Who do you think you are?
Go ahead with your misunderstanding of Doomer now.
Okay.
mhm.
If the government is owned by the people,
Mhm.
right? Apple is owned by the stockholders. Okay. Imagine me as a stockholder of Apple. Okay. Apple is giving me a dividend. They're giving me money, right? And they're not doing it to the goodness of their heart. They're doing it because I fucking own them, okay? Because they belong to me. Because they are my servants, borderline slaves, okay? They belong to me, okay? This is not like a, reciprocal relationship. No, I own them, okay? And that's why they're giving me money. It's not out of the goodness of their heart. It's because they're mine, okay? Okay, so these people give me a dividend. Imagine if Apple was like, hey, Jonah, here is your money. But, okay, you're not allowed to spend it on NFTs. You're not allowed to spend it on drugs. You're not allowed to spend it on McDonald's. You're not allowed to spend it on all of these things that, Tim Cook or whatever his name is, the CEO of Apple, is just like, I really don't think you should be spending your money on that, Jonah. It's my money. It's not your money. You can go screw yourself, you little piece of garbage, okay? I hate you, Tim Pool. Not Tim Pool. I also hate Tim Pool. Tim Cook, okay? You don't get to make these decisions for me because it's my money, not your money, okay? It's absurd. We all recognize that's absurd. When a company gives me a dividend for owning the company, they don't get to make decisions about how I use that dividend. And the same is true of the government. Okay, the government, I own the government. Okay, they are my servants. They belong to me. Okay, and so the idea that they get to make decisions for me in terms of how I spend my dividend, they are stupid and they do not deserve the ability to make these decisions. Go.
Okay. You realize that's not Heem's criticism. Because originally you were saying
it is.
Heem's
Go
no,
for it.
Heem thinks that like we should like Heem thinks that we should start adding like double to what it is that to what it is that those like EBTs could be spent on. But like he agrees that like these people like in general probably aren't like smart enough to do all of this stuff. But he's not making like a freedom argument. He's making an argument based on the fact that he thinks this would have. No, you're hold on, stop. Stop. Your argument was Heem is correct in his criticisms. That's why we got into it. It's because you said Heem is correct in his criticisms, but Heem's criticisms are based on outcomes, not based on freedom.
Heem's criticism was just a broad, like, that was his criticism, okay? And that reaction, okay, is the correct reaction to the disgraceful stance that Doomer put forward. It is.
But that wasn't his argument, though.
Is good. I stand fully by the because it deserves the it does.
Okay. Well, that wasn't Heem's criticism. You started off. No, it wasn't. His criticism is that it wasn't more freedom. It was this could have negative outcomes. I feel like the average of healthy people might go up, but there's going to be a small amount of people that are left behind that will have worse outcomes because of this. That was his argument.
Wait, but that's also true.
It doesn't matter.
I mean,
it's not about
like
freedom.
Borderline irrelevant
It's not about
comparatively, but it is
freedom.
also true.
It's not about freedom. It's about the fact that he thinks that it's bad outcomes.
Okay, wait, okay.
At no
So,
point did he make
hold
the argument that they should be able to choose whatever they want. He never said that at all.
let's zoom out. We're on the precipice of two conversations. One conversation is fascinating. The other conversation is like, yeah, you know?
I'm
Okay,
just
so
making my point that I'm
No, I
right
understand.
to say
So
on
there's-
Twitter to say that his criticisms are
Yeah.
still bad. We can have
Okay.
our own argument. I don't really care about which.
Fantastic. So
But
let's
didn't
start-
he also talk about like how there's like different levels of the poverty level?
Oh,
So like
true.
Doomer's idea of like this is what poverty is different from someone else's idea
Ditto.
is, right? So I think in Doomer's mind, he's like, oh, it's okay, like we're good. But then to a lot of lefties, it's like it's not good enough. So their level of the poverty level is different. Doesn't that make any sense? I thought he was saying that. Don't give it.
Well,
What?
he was, but he was making that point to say that there might be a lower level of people who are going to have worse outcomes because of this. Whereas Quibbles' argument is that you should have the freedom to do what you want to do with this money. That was never Heem's argument. He was never saying anything about freedom or being able to choose what you want. Heem's argument was there could be a small group of people who end up with worse outcomes than they did before. I think it's such a negligible group of people to where it wouldn't matter in the first place. But
Okay. So here are the two directions we can bring this. Direction one. This is the boring one. Don't choose this one.
I don't want to
could
talk
defend
about
Heem.
Heem's argument. I don't want to talk
Yeah,
about
I
Heem's
could
argument.
defend him. That is the boring
that's
answer.
pointless.
No,
Don't
we're
do
gonna
it.
talk
Don't
about
choose that.
Doomer's bad
That's the
takes.
wrong answer.
Yeah.
Better answer. I want to shit all over. What's his name? Shoot, is it Doomer?
Doomer.
That's the one. I want to destroy his psyche. I want him to be in pain. Okay, that's what I want. Okay, that's the one we should go with. I agree.
Yes,
Okay.
I agree. Let's do that.
Okay, cool. Do you defend him?
I
It is him, right?
again, I don't care about either one of their positions. So like I didn't-
What?
Yeah.
Tom, you said that Doomer was right though.
You said Doomer was right.
When? No, I said that their criticisms were bad. No, I didn't say Doomer was
No,
right.
you had a very bad tweet. I have to pull up your bad tweet.
Pull up my bad
Wait a
tweet.
second. No, I don't want to.
No, I swear to God on stream, you're like, yeah, Doomer's right about that. That it's not as bad as some lefties say
Okay,
it.
yeah, socialists. Doomer doesn't think poor people are smart enough to make their own decisions.
Okay.
They're right. You're trying to make fun of the socialists for having these nonsense. Then you make fun of the socialists for two like other genuinely bad things. I don't know if you can put this on Twitter.
Yes,
but I'll try
I'm making fun of them for being
How do
hypocrites.
I voice chat text? Here we
now
go.
I know that
Do
that
the clicky of my Twitter. It's a very good Twitter.
I know that Vosh doesn't actually care about hypocrisy, but I'm making fun of them for being hypocrites. That's it. That's all I'm doing. Is the fact that they are making criticisms of Doomer for saying that he has a bad take when they have the same exact takes.
Okay, but like the basis of this this tweet suggests that you got to make it big. I want everyone to be able to read the disgusting, disgraceful noises that you made on Twitter. Okay, so okay, like the bottom two of those are terrible, and all socialists deserve to be bullied for making them. But the first one, Doomer deserves to be bullied for saying that.
I don't care. I'm pointing out the hypocrisy. I don't care who is what.
Okay, so then help
All
me
I'm
bully
pointing
Doomer.
out.
Are you going to bully Doomer with me?
No, I don't care about any of their positions. I don't care about any of
Let me
them.
bully him.
I'm not
bully him
stopping
with me.
you.
Why won't you bully-
Go ahead and scream
we
at
should
the
cyberbully
wall
him
all you
together.
want.
I just want to cyberbully him, and I want your help. Help me cyberbully him.
I don't care.
No, but like my big issue, a lot of people did, including him, was when he used that example of like, well, if you had a choice of being a king 300 years ago, or being like homeless now, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be a king. Like, and how ridiculous that was.
It's
And
not
like, I don't think
ridiculous,
you
though.
could. But like, the basic argument of like, oh, you should be grateful, it's better now than like 500 years ago, is ridiculous and it's stupid, and no one should ever make that argument. That just alone.
You might not like the argument, but it is technically correct. So it's like with what's his name's slavery argument from Hake. Like, technically his argument is correct. Black people are a lot better off because their ancestors were slaves. But I'm not blaming you. I'm saying
They
bad
should be
things
thankful
happen
for
to the black
slavery.
people.
They should be thankful for slavery.
Then you come work for me. Come be my
No,
slave.
you're gonna be- what? You're
Come
not
be
even a
my
millionaire.
slave.
Are you a millionaire?
Yes, I'm a millionaire.
No, like going to bond.
It's like black people just happening to live in America now because their ancestors were drug over here. They are better off because of it. So like he is correct in that sense when he says that thing. And it's the same with Doomer. Like in the way that he's talking about this, yes, they're like the material conditions are so much better for poor people in America than they were for kings 300 years ago.
The underlying point that he was getting to is that, like, essentially all of these, like, little poor people should, like, shut up and be happy.
No, he wasn't.
Essentially.
No,
That is
no,
exactly
no,
what
it's
he was
not. No, it's not. Stop. No, this was my entire problem with the debate. Stop.
Tom.
No, I'm about to mute you guys. This
you're
is
gonna
my entire
pretend
problem
that
with the debate. That's not what he was saying. That's not what he was saying. He said it over and over. That's not what he was saying. Yes, he said over and over that that's not what he was saying, and everybody still kept strawmanning him afterwards because all he was doing was he was trying to get Heem pulled back to reality. Heem's way out here with the freaking crazies. Heem's at
This
way.
is some Jordan Peterson shit. It is.
All right, I'm muting you guys. Just wait for me to finish, and then I will be. You will be able to talk in just a little bit. Okay, so that he's trying to pull them back to reality. Okay, so if I'm making an argument against somebody who's saying like, oh, like women shouldn't like it shouldn't matter if like their husband wants to rape them, like that's his wife, so he should be able to do whatever he wants with her, right? Somebody making that argument, I'm going to be arguing like, oh no, dude, like you don't know what it's like for women, and like this is a horrible violation and blah 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 blah, right? But then the other side where they're like, oh, a husband trying to tell his wife that he wants her to have sex with him and trying to convince her to have sex when she doesn't want to, that's rape and the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, dude, like, hold on. Actually, like, you know, it's his wife. Like, they can decide for themselves, and actually he can be as pushy as he wants as long as she doesn't mind it. And like, I can have arguments that sound like I'm arguing from both sides, but on both of them, I'm trying to pull them into the middle where reality exists. And that is all that Doomer was doing, is he was trying to get Heem to come back to reality. But when they said, oh, you think that like blah, 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 he kept saying, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to say that it's not this homeless person that's tied up to the radiator out in the snow all the time.
Oh, am I unmuted? I'm unmuted. That's fantastic. Okay, cool. All right.
No.
Okay, it's my turn. Oh, no, it's your turn? It's your turn. Go for it.
Just a reminder that I've heard this same kind of...
No, this is what you guys do when I'm talking. You guys wouldn't shut up the whole time. Both of you.
Okay, but we've all heard this, right? It's like women's rights. Oh, you can vote and wear pants. You have it so much better. Or like, oh, climate change is not that bad. Just a little bit of
not a bad argument.
and temperature change. It's not that bad. That's the same logic, and it's poopy.
No, it's
and you
not.
should be like, that is.
It's not. Okay, so it depends on what it is that they're talking about. So if somebody's saying like, hey, women are practically slaves today. Women can't do anything. They're just slaves, and they're completely brainwashed, and they don't make their own decisions whatsoever because of how socialized they are. Yeah, if we were like, well, dude, they freaking wear pants, they get to vote, like you start naming off these things. Yeah, it's not a bad argument in that case because you're talking talking to somebody who's freaking crazy out on the far edges. You're just trying to get them to pull them over here. You're trying to get them back into the middle with the normal folk.
Okay, this is some Jordan Peterson shit. It is. Okay? What essentially this boils down to is like, hey man, we're better than we were before, which is like obviously true, right? But like when we unpack why that is being said, you have to think, Tom, don't just go, okay? I'm right, okay? I'm right. No, mute him.
It's dismissive. It's dismissive, and you're like, you're lying. You know what it is.
You should mute him. He should be muted. Tom should be muted, okay? It's my turn.
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
I didn't say anything.
Okay. So, the lobsters. Okay. So Jordan Peterson, right, would say all of this nonsense, and he'd be like, oh, like, because it's better off than it was before, and then he won't say the next part. But the next part is obvious. Because it's better than it was before, and he doesn't say this part, intention doesn't say this part, but the obvious next part is, therefore, shut up, you got it good. Right?
But that wasn't his argument.
Obvious.
That wasn't his argument. Hold on, stop.
You're muted.
No, because you're lying. He literally said over and over that he wanted to improve things for them. So you're lying. You're lying when you say that. If he says over and over, I'm trying to improve things for them because they've got it bad, you cannot lie and say, oh, well, he's saying it's good enough, so they should just chill out.
How is he making it, wanting it to get better? If he thinks it's generally good, and he wants to help a little bit, what the fuck does that mean?
No, he said he thinks that all food should be free for everybody, that he thinks everybody should have free housing. He literally said these things in the debate.
When you bring up like facts, which can genuinely be true, but when you bring up facts in the confines of a debate, you're not bringing up those facts void context. You're not just giving a history
That's
lesson.
my point.
You're not just like, hey, the Minoans were a thing, and then the Mycenaeans were a thing. And no, there's no like political
That's my point.
Result of that. I'm just like saying it, just void context. What was the context in which Doomer said that stuff?
It was.
Why did he say it?
Again, I just explained this. Heem is making like crazy out there arguments after Doomer has already said that he would like for these things to be free and that like his ideal scenarios were XXX. Like he's already said all of these things. Now he's talking to Heem, trying to get him to be pragmatic with what it is that they're talking about. And every time they mention poor people.
I forgot. Oh, yeah, sorry, go on. Go for it.
Every time they mention poor people, Heem's example of a poor person is this like person who's just like the worst example you could bring up. He starts talking about poor people. He starts talking about poor people that
who like to drop out of college because they can't afford it anymore.
No, he starts. No, his main example. No,
in the history of the world.
No, his main example. Stop talking. His main example was talking about families who would starve if they weren't able to eat McDonald's that night. That was his main example over and over and over.
It's the best option they have available to them.
He said they
That's
just
different than
eat.
they'll starve.
He said they would go hungry. That's what that they wouldn't eat that day. Yes. That's what he said.
Okay. Go hungry and starve aren't the same
okay,
thing.
Whatever. They're gonna go hungry that day.
No. They're fun like I forgot to eat dinner.
I don't
yesterday
care. I'm booting you out of this if this is the conversation you want to have. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't say it's the same thing. I didn't say it's the same. If you want to keep sitting there.
But that's what he said, and then you misconstrued it because what's his face?
Okay, I'm booting him out of here. If he's gonna have a different conversation by himself, then that's fine. I already conceded that. If you want to keep arguing it, go ahead, dude. Go argue by yourself. I don't understand. Why are you arguing something that I'm not contending with? I don't understand it. What's the point? If you want to keep arguing it, go argue somewhere else. I'm not here for it.
Oh my god.
Tom is so triggered.
I'm triggered because you guys are trying to argue with me, but you're not actually doing
We're
it.
not trying to argue with you. We're trying to argue against. This is the problem. I worry that this conversation is becoming an argument about Heem and Doomer. And the truth is, I don't care about Heem at all.
I don't care
other
about
than
either one.
One very good video in which he described Demon Mama as a mob boss, which was admittedly a very good video.
I don't care about
Other
either
than
one.
that,
I'm friends with
I
both of
don't-
them. I'm not defending them.
I don't
I'm
know either one
defending
of
their
them.
takes.
Okay, I don't know either one of them. I don't care about either one of them, either as human beings or as content creators.
Why are we
that
talking
seems
about?
mean, but it's true. Okay. What I am talking about is the underlying principle. And the underlying principle that the government belongs to me and not that I belong to the government is a very important principle.
Okay.
Okay. And what's his face? The one that I disagree with, Doomer, right?
Doomer.
Yeah, Doomer, okay, his ideology is cancer.
I
His
don't think you
ideology
listened to
is
the whole debate,
disgusting.
I don't-
did.
I
It was
don't
disgraceful.
believe you.
I listened to it, and he does not believe that the government belongs to the people. He believes that the people belong to the government. That
Okay.
is clearly betrayed by his disgusting stance, okay? His cancerous takes.
I don't. How so? Where the
Because
hell
he
did you
doesn't
get
believe
that
that I get to decide. Because he doesn't believe that the dividend going to the people should be decided what we do with it by the people. If you don't believe that, you don't believe that we own the government.
You would be
But,
correct
wait,
if
my
it was
money!
going to everybody, but it's not. It's a luxury. It's going to a few people.
It's a luxury.
Yeah,
What
meaning
are you talking about? We're talking about limited food stamps. They're not a luxury.
no. I
Wait,
don't know
wait,
if you
wait,
guys
wait,
don't
wait.
know what luxury means, but it's something that not everybody's getting, right? It's going to few people. It is something that
That
only few
need
people are
it
getting.
Because
That's
they're
not
hungry.
that's not part of what I'm saying. So don't bring in irrelevant information right now, please. You do that later. All right. I'm saying that this isn't something as though it's going out to everybody and this is like for the sake of equality, everybody gets to choose what they do with it. No, this is a very like minimal amount of people that are getting this, and this is something that the government is giving to them. It's not something that's just, oh, it's theirs, so let's give it to them. Because if it's theirs, then it's also mine. It's also yours. We're not getting it, so what the hell?
Like we chatted before on how like if the government's giving you money, there might be some restrictions to it, right? Like I think most people can say, okay, that's fairly reasonable. But when those tweets came out and it was like, okay, restrict it, you can just use this EBD card at grocery stores. Cool. But getting down to like exactly specifically what you can buy is
Annabelle's in the
morally,
waiting room.
morally
I
that's
think Annabelle
wrong.
disagrees with me. I want to hear from Annabelle.
Plus, I think like in a bureaucracy standpoint, like how the fuck do you actually do that? Like just the logistics of it. Like deciding what are the healthy foods, what are the not healthy foods. Like that's just like you'll be putting in so much money to figure that shit out. When you could just be like, hey, here, generally buy food. You're gonna buy some Doritos, you're gonna buy some chicken. Who gives a shit? Like you're an adult, you can figure it out. Most people we eat healthy and crap food. Like poor people can do that just as much. Do you want me to bring Annabelle in or no? Or is that
Yeah, sure.
maybe Annabelle can
I want to hear Annabelle.
even it out? I'll pop
I'm ready.
him in.
Annabelle,
There you
what's up?
go. You're in.
I don't care. Again, I don't care about any of these arguments. You guys are just straw manning and being insanely bad faith, and I'm just correcting you on your misinformation.
You're not.
You
We're
are.
not being bad faith.
I've corrected you guys over and over on
Wait,
things
bring
that
up the
he
tweets.
did not say.
Bring up the tweets. I demand the tweets.
I literally
Sassafras was giving me tweets
saw
earlier.
the tweets, and I can quote him. Like even like if poor people make consistently good decision, they probably wouldn't be poor. Poor people are stupid, make
obviously
bad
true.
decisions, and shouldn't be trusted. They should be treated like children. If people were making good decisions, the U.S. wouldn't have 50% of the population dying from obesity-related illness. Those are quotes.
Okay, Sass, do you think that
High quality quotes.
do you think that the United States should be socialist?
What?
No, no,
What?
no, shut up. No, shut up. Sass, do you think the United States should be socialist? Yeah.
If I had magical powers, sure, why not?
Okay, yeah. And do you think most poor people agree with you and think that the United States should be socialist?
Probably not, because
Why?
no, most of the population of America, not just the poor people,
Yeah,
all the other people.
yeah, sure,
are
but
not
we're only talking about
are
poor
not
people.
socialists.
Because we're talking about poor people right now. So only the poor people. Why do they disagree with you? Why do you know better than they do? Why do you want to force them into the
Sassafras
scenario that they
destroyed.
don't want?
Ooh, Sassafras is being destroyed.
Well, this is why
This is not ideal.
my initial tweet that with the
Wait, I'm not
with
making.
the
Wait,
meme-
I'm not making
No.
anyone be socialist.
No.
I can suggest things like the government can suggest you buy healthy food, and I can suggest you become a socialist.
Okay,
Like,
I don't Annabelle's
have-
mic-
I have a
Mike's
couple
working.
questions.
Jesus.
I'm ready for Annabelle's questions. Go.
I just want to. Do most people want to be obese?
So my answer is going to be complicated. My answer is going to be kind
If you
of.
ask someone,
yeah,
do you
but
like
Annabelle,
being
that's
obese?
that's a silly way to
It's
frame
not a
that.
silly question. I'm
Because-
asking.
Just
if you
answer.
ask
no,
people.
just-
No,
let me-
hold
let
on,
me-
Quibbles.
let me
Just go
answer.
through his process first,
Let
and
me
then.
freaking answer it. I want to answer it in full context. Jesus Christ.
I
this
don't
is
care
the
about what
violation of my
qualifiers you're going to
speech
do.
rights.
It's a yes or
Wait,
no.
I do that too. I do that too. It's
Just
like,
answer
where
his
is
question
it?
and then
Let
have
me
problems
answer
with it later.
With a little bit of freaking context, you little poop.
Mhm.
Okay, here's my answer. Okay, my answer is on the front end, okay, yes. And on the back end, no. So on the front end, they want to eat all of the Cheetos like an obese person. But on the back end, they don't want to be fat like a person who eats all of the Cheetos. And so therefore, yes, they want to be obese. And also, no, they don't want to be obese.
Okay, this could bring me down another line of question because I'm going to ask if poor people want to be poor, but I'm just going to say you're wrong. If you ask the average person, do you want to be obese? They're going to say no. I
That's
can't imagine
literally
any.
one half of the description I just gave you.
Yes, no,
but
you gave a Weasley answer.
qualifying.
Yeah.
You're qualifying the first. You're being like
It
they're
is
making
because
bad
that's not what he
decisions.
was asking.
Incomplete answer.
You know that wasn't what he was asking. You gave irrelevant
giving the
information.
Answer to an incomplete question, an intentionally incomplete question, might I add. Bad faith, incomplete.
I don't
I
care if you
adore
think
you.
I'm
I don't know
bad
who
faith.
you are, but I'm sure that you're
It's
wonderful.
almost like it's a very complicated issue, and
Yeah.
there's
It's
not
many
complicated.
factors to
Oh,
just be. I just don't
what?
want to be fat, so I
What? What? Now it's complicated? Now
you're
it's got
asking-
so many factors.
Annabelle, if
Now
you're
that
asking-
now that it's hard for us, now it's
Okay,
so
okay,
many.
if
Oh,
you're
I can't make.
If you're asking void context, hey Jonah, do you want to look like Jason Momoa? Of course I
Yes.
want to look like Jason Momoa. Absolutely,
And
I want to look like
he's
Jason
single
Momoa.
now.
He's gorgeous. Okay.
Okay,
But
then why don't
do
you?
I want to put in the work that is required to be Jason Momoa? Of course not. So I have no actual real desire in terms of the work that would be required to do it to look like Jason Momoa. Right? I am making no actual actions towards that. So high in the sky, void context, would I like it? Sure. Pie in the sky, void context, would I like a lot of things? Sure. But that doesn't mean that I'm actually going to put in the work. And similarly, the majority of people who are who don't look like Jason Momoa are also not willing to put in the work to look like Jason Momoa.
Okay, you could have answered that in like a sentence, but
It's
Okay, how about
Quibbles,
this?
so
Yeah,
no.
but it's more
Okay.
fun if I say it this way. So go on.
okay,
I'm
let's
ready.
say there was a button. There's two
Yeah.
buttons. One is the world stays the way it is. Another button is everyone, no matter what they eat, is like 15% body fat, or I guess for women,
Obviously,
20,
the second
25%.
one.
Yeah,
If we
okay.
could all become
Right?
Greek gods,
People
that would be, ideal.
happier
Yes.
if they were thinner. That's like a fact of life. I can't imagine
People would
anyone
be
seeing
happier
Wait,
if they
wait,
had
wait.
freedom.
Wait, is it thinner or is it like because there's
Healthier.
thin people who are not healthy?
Okay, I don't
Those
really care
people
about
exist,
anorexics,
so,
no offense.
like,
Healthier. Okay, so my answer.
Imagine that you
is that-
don't have body dysmorphia. Thinner
Okay,
people,
Canada,
on average, are
Jesus
going to be
Christ.
happier.
Okay, so here's my answer. Okay, my answer is if I could have a little ploopity boopity button that says everyone gets to eat whatever they want and they'll still be healthy, I would press it, right? But if you made a button that said everyone will be healthy, but they'll all be slaves of the government who don't get to make their own food decisions, my answer would be no. Sometimes mommy wants a Big Mac, okay?
I'm gonna have to ask
And
you,
mama
are you a
gonna get
libertarian?
her.
It's not their
Say
own
again?
money, though.
Libertarian.
It's the government's money.
Are you
It's not-
libertarian?
Tom, who owns the government?
It
I
doesn't.
do.
Again,
They
we've
do.
already been
They
over this.
belong
No,
to me.
we've already been
When
over
you
this.
say
This
the
money
government's
isn't
money,
going out
we're
to
talking
everybody.
about my money.
No, again, this isn't going out to everybody. If that's the
even
way
if the
that you
money
want to put
was.
it, if that's the way you want to put it, then what it is that Doomer's saying should be put up to a vote. If that's the way you want to put it.
No.
Exactly. So then what
What are
you're
you
saying
talking
is a completely moot point because it doesn't
Wait,
go
I'm
out
sorry.
to everybody.
I'm sorry. Put it up to a vote? What are you talking about?
You're saying
You think
it's
that-
the
hold
people's
up,
money,
hold up,
but
hold
it's
up.
not that
No,
individual's
yes,
money. It is
all
the
of
people's money.
Yes,
Yes,
some
exactly.
Of the people's money.
Exactly.
It's not a fucking vote. No,
Exactly.
Screw your voting. No.
Yep.
Voting.
You proved my
nonsense.
point. Thank you.
I refuse your voting, and here's why. Okay.
Go ahead.
If
I already won.
If I own 2% of Apple, okay, by the way, if I own 2% of Apple, I'd be a very happy man and a very wealthy man. But let's say I owed 2% of Apple, right? And this other guy owns 51% of Apple, okay? Even happier individual, even wealthier individual, okay? This individual decides that when we're going to do the dividends, he's going to make the rule be only my 51% of the shares get the money. Okay, nonsense.
Apple
No,
gives out
that's
dividends,
that's
by the
not.
way.
No, hold
And
on.
that is not
This
the
isn't
point
apt.
of the freaking
Okay, so listen.
thing.
All right,
Okay?
everybody,
If you
hold
work
on.
for a company that's a
Hold
large
on.
company that is a stockholder.
Hold on.
company
It doesn't
that is
matter.
on
It's not
top 100
relevant, Joe.
that gives
Jonah,
out
it
dividends,
doesn't
go
matter.
for it, okay?
Stop arguing
Yeah.
pointless things. Okay, so listen.
Yeah, no, it's just for fun. Go
Okay,
for it.
so this isn't an apt thing because we're talking about how the government is using their money. So the person who gets dividends is likely getting a vote on how Apple spends their money, right? If you're talking, yes. Now, if we're talking about dividends, this means it's going to everybody. These food stamps are not going to everybody. It's not money that goes
I
to
agree with
everybody.
you. We should
So
have a UBI.
no, so we're talking about either people get a vote on this sort of thing, or we're saying it's the government's money and they're choosing what to do with it. But it can't be. Oh, it's the people's money.
I
push
see.
against
Because
that,
it's
Tom?
not a UBI, therefore we should
Yeah.
be making decisions. What's the benefit of
Hold
making
on.
decisions?
I want to
not from a
allow
perspective-
Annadelle to go
not
back
from
to his
wait a minute.
question.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
want
go
I
for
want
it,
to push
Annabelle.
back mainly because I don't really think it matters. Even if everyone, let's say everyone got $500 a month,
Okay.
the government could still tell you what to do with it. I don't know how you could even argue against that. Are you allowed to buy a tank?
What?
Can you buy a tank?
The government can already tell you what to do with money in general.
Wait.
Yeah, the government restricts your
What?
purchases
No.
already.
That is not,
Can you go
What?
buy
that is not
ordinances?
comparable. That is.
It's not
I'm not even
comparable.
sure how to
Hold
put
on,
that.
no, it's not
That is
comparable.
not
Hold on,
the same.
Jonah, you're
The
right.
same
It's not the
thing.
same. Hold on, so just listen, please. It's not the same. You are correct, but the problem is that your value that you are giving is not comparable to the real world. Saying that we can spend our money on whatever we want actually is not true.
Okay. We can say that there are like certain rules that in order to have a
Okay, great. There's certain rules, and then
Canada,
one
Jesus
rule.
Christ. Let me think.
Oh my God! You fucking take like 10 minutes to say one sentence. I don't care about your
You
rules.
admitting that there are certain rules is all we needed.
That's all I need. You're
Yeah,
saying
yes.
there are certain things the government can tell you what and what not to buy. I would say that your
Yeah,
health is
okay.
one thing the government can
Canada,
direct
your
decisions on.
health. We're talking about your health. We're not talking
No,
about
because
society.
your
The reason
health
you're not-
affects my
It's my turn.
healthcare payments.
It's my turn. It's my turn. Okay. The reason you're not allowed to buy a tank is because if you have a tank, the chances that you're going to kill other people rise considerably. The
Same with a
chances
gun.
that you're going to do terrorism and enact the fiery, murder machine upon the masses of the humans is a large percentage. Okay? If I go and become obese, that's not your problem. Okay?
Should the
Unless
government be
you talk-
taxing cigarettes?
That's where I was about to go.
Okay. No.
No. Okay. Are you libertarian? I just need to know what
Yes.
your ideology. Yes. Oh,
Yes.
You're a retard then. Sorry.
Yeah, there's no talking to libertarian.
Annabelle, Jesus Christ. How? Why? Why are you opposed to liberty?
nice slip in there.
But
I'm
okay,
serious. Why are you opposed to liberty?
but no, I just find it funny.
Liberty.
Like, I am a socialist, and I'm the one saying the government shouldn't be so paternalistic with its citizens. Like,
Well, yeah, but the ideal socialist doesn't want a government either. So like, I can
Socialism-
yeah,
understand
no,
that.
but like this is
Left,
should
right
be
is
like
not what we're talking about. We're talking about authoritarians, okay, versus libertarians. Annabelle
No,
is
no, 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 but you're
authoritarian.
wrong.
who
I'm
wants
talking
the
about
government
economics.
to own people. I don't want the government to own people, okay, and Annabelle does. That's the distinction. It's not left
okay,
or
Clearly,
right.
but like
that's
Up or
exactly
down.
what I
even
said.
with your smoking example, like okay, with food, there's cigarettes. That's it. That's easy. That's bad for you. But
No,
when it comes to
but
food, it's like
Does
who
obesity increase
decides
healthcare
what?
cost?
No, yeah, wait, Sass. You
Annabelle,
hold on.
let
No,
me
stop.
speak.
Sass, I understand your argument. You're right. Like it'd be really hard to like distinguish which foods would be like would pass the bar and which ones wouldn't. We're talking about like ethical lines that we can draw in here and say like whether or not this is ethical or whether or not this is right or wrong. We're not talking about whether or not this is pragmatic.
Okay. Should I be
Do all of it.
allowed? Okay. Should I be allowed to hike the AT? The Appalachian Trail. Annabelle, should I be allowed to hike it?
Are you gonna say that a lot of people die doing it?
Yeah. And a lot of people get injured.
I mean,
It's a state
that's
park,
a good
isn't
question.
it? Right?
A lot of people die skydiving as well.
Yeah, so should it be illegal?
I mean, some people will probably say yes. I imagine
Okay,
that
those people are stupid. Just say those people are stupid.
Why? People make bad decisions all the time. It's the government's job to make sure.
Should
people
all
don't make
drugs
too
be
terrible
illegal?
of decision.
It's my body. I get to decide what to do with my body. If I make stupid decisions with my body, that's stupid. I shouldn't make stupid decisions. But
So
at
we
the
should
end
get
of
rid
the
of
day, it's
alcohol
my
too, right?
body.
Okay,
Get
so
rid of
Get rid of
alcohol
what?
and drugs.
so in
Yeah, of course,
general,
all drugs should be legal. Yes, not for
I
children,
don't think
obviously, because they
debate
can't
took
consent.
$2
But for
and
adults,
17
absolutely,
cents.
they should all be
This is the
legal. Doesn't mean you should do them,
most
but they should be legal.
discussion to have ever occurred.
Because they
Yes.
also try to do that with alcohol, right? And that went really well. So
Should
Well,
companies
thank you,
be
Donkey
allowed to
Dick Dave.
Prohibition went great.
I missed
Oh yeah, didn't in that
Yeah.
same Doomer say that like he would be in support of prohibition if it worked? What a
I-
stupid piece
yeah.
of garbage.
I don't know,
hate that guy.
but
That's a typical
What a terrible man.
position.
How dare he
The
not be
point
here?
is-
I want to
okay, so Jonah,
No, no, you're
we've
doing
had
that.
this conversation before where like we talk about I think most people believe, and I believe, the government exists to make sure that society exists. They exist to make sure that society runs like efficiently and as best as possible. You're talking about like things on a like a minute individual level, whereas like this wouldn't actually, if we're talking about what improves society, like a
But
lot of
who
these
is
people
society for?
dying wouldn't be beneficial.
Who's society for?
The people?
Which people?
The people.
As in the people that I'm describing who want to go skydiving sometimes and want to have cheeseburgers more often
Yep.
than they go skydiving.
Yep. That I
Okay,
mean,
so we let them have their cheeseburgers. What are we talking about? What is this?
well, so when we're talking about what's best for society, like we're also saying like, okay, I want to go
For the
shoot.
individuals of society. When we say society, we're talking about the individuals of society.
Yes. Okay. So when I say like we're talking
conversation.
about society, I can say, hold on one second.
Solem Villain tipped $1.
No, Sassafras wants
Hold
to argue
on.
with me. Sassafras wants to argue
Thank
with me.
you
She's been
for
on my side this
the
whole time. And I want to
donation,
argue.
Sola. Okay. So the
just so angry.
okay. So when we're talking about society, we're talking about the fact that like, yes, I have freedoms, but I can't go shoot somebody, right? Not allowed to go shoot somebody else. Why? Because this would
Because
be
it's
like
someone else's
detrimental.
body, not my
Because
body.
no, because this would be detrimental to society. That's why it's
No,
bad.
to the
Yes.
individual.
No.
Not to society.
No, it's detrimental to
Can I
society.
say one thing? Can I say one
You
thing?
violated their consent. That is their body, not your body.
Yeah,
That's
but
not
you
the
see,
way
that would be
things
your
actually
body.
work in reality.
Therefore, their consent does that really matter at that point?
Okay, rich people who eat steak every day, they can afford to do that because they can afford their health
Bad for
care.
society. Terrible for
still-
society. It's
because they can afford their
destroying the
healthcare,
environment.
It's not as bad, but the poor people, they need
No, but
more
Sass,
funding.
it's terrible for the environment. It's destroying the environment. Oh my God, these rich people shouldn't be allowed to have steaks. Oh my God, these rich people, they shouldn't be allowed to like
Don't
drive
forget
around in their
the tips
Humvees.
$1.
Oh my God, these
You
rich
can't
people,
shoot
they shouldn't
somebody, but you
be allowed to
can
have
shoot
yachts.
quotes.
Oh my God, these rich people. No, okay? The rich people get to have their fun stuff. Okay, the poor people get to have their literal McDonald's, okay, which is not comparable, but they deserve to have the access to McDonald's.
There's a difference. You guys are doing exactly what it is that I like described, like a problem with people taking Doomer's arguments out of context. Is right now we're arguing just to pull you guys into an understanding that not everything's free, not everything is permissible, right? We're trying to get to a point where we understand there are limitations on some things.
Hamburgers.
No.
This
Hold on.
conversation started about hamburgers.
No, because
Oh my
you
God.
took it to freedom. You were the one who took it there and made it all about freedom.
from hamburgers.
Yes, so we're talking
you
about
said
the fact that there
freedom.
are limitations on
Well,
freedoms.
yes, okay, yes, there are limitations on freedom. Your ability to like swing your fist ends where my face starts, a little bit before. You're not allowed to go kaplushi, pow, Jonah, you are hurt now, because my face is mine. It belongs to me.
I don't
Whereas
think-
your fist is yours. It belongs to you.
I don't
so
think
if you're
you
going to go
understand that
shooting
in-
people, I do. If you're going to go around shooting
that's
people,
technically true.
that's a problem. You don't get to do that. You don't get even allowed to do things that will benefit you on the path towards shooting people. So
Individual
therefore,
rights
probably shouldn't be allowed to have
exist
nukes.
for society.
Say it again.
Individual rights exist for society.
Ew. No. Society exists for individual rights. What are you talking about? Ew.
How does that
Can I
make
ask Sass some questions?
Oh
Yeah, go
jeez.
You wanted to talk.
Yeah, I just well mainly because I
Oh,
feel
no.
like I can get farther with you than I
Oh,
can
no.
with the person who interrupts every 10 seconds. Okay.
Aw.
Oh.
Jonah.
Do you
Jonah gets
no.
really excitable. That's all.
Yeah, I do sometimes.
you think- so how does healthcare work? Like what's your understanding of it?
The problem is I'm Canadian, so it's a little bit different.
But I mean the principle should still be the same. So you don't pay for your healthcare, but the cost
well,
of it is
technically,
based on
yes, 'cause
based
of
on
taxes.
how much
So.
the people in the pool use, right? So if you have like 1 million people and a lot of them are using healthcare, your cost will go up. But if only a small portion are using the healthcare, the cost will go down, right?
Mhm.
Because that's how pooled risk works. Same with all insurance. So if you have a large portion of your population doing something unhealthy that increases the amount of healthcare you're going to use, that's going to cause healthcare costs to go up.
Yeah, but I guess where it's like, where are you going to draw the line in like suggesting the populace to do a thing like don't smoke by like raising the taxes on cigarettes and
That's
suggesting
fine.
that they don't, versus like being so strict on saying these certain people you can only eat vegetables. Like there has to be a line of how, like, what's the word? Just like forceful in telling what people to do.
I mean, to be fair, I would be in favor of a tax on all foods because how weight works is if you eat more calories than you use, you gain weight.
Wait, Annabelle. The result of that is going to be that it's an incredibly regressive tax, right?
We already have
I don't
sugar
because of the
taxes.
I
in
don't.
some
I don't care if
states.
it's progressive. People are too fat.
Okay.
If someone's like,
It's
"Oh, I'm going
what you
hungry,"
described
and
is
they weigh like
incredible-
250 pounds,
Annabelle,
too
Jesus
bad.
Christ,
Get
you
over
can't
it.
get so mad at me for interrupting when you interrupt me. Okay. What you describe is incredibly regressive. What you describe,
care.
like, okay, I want to explain what that means for context, and then maybe we'll see if you care. What you're describing, the result would be that the proportion of someone's income that's going to this tax, if you are low income, is going to be a astronomically high proportion comparative to wealthy people who spend virtually nothing as a percentage of their wealth on food, right? Comparative to poor people. And so when you're describing this, what you're saying is that you are punishing poor people essentially for being poor. And you're going to have very large effects on the food decisions that poor people are able to make, and very minuscule effects on the food decisions that wealthy people are able to make. And if we zoom out for a second, like the actual problem of the undergirding reason that poor people make poor decisions in terms of food habits is because they have very few other options. The reality is that the vast majority of poor people live in food deserts or something approximating a food desert. And so their access to something like clean, healthy vegetables, their access to something like, good meats, good cheeses, all of those kinds of things that wealthy people are able to do just as a basic habit. I mean, I can walk down the street and I have lots of different meat places, lots of different cheese places, lots of blah, 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 literally up the street from me, because I don't live in a food desert. I live in a very nice neighborhood, right? But if you live in a poor neighborhood, it is a very different circumstance. And so it may very well be the case that for you to be getting the exact same meal that it takes me 30 minutes to slap together by walking down, down literally 2 blocks to the closest market to get the food that I need, it could take you an hour and a half or longer, and it would also cost you some way to pay for childcare for your kids, some way to deal with all of these problems that are resultant to get the exact same food outcomes. And so for you to punish even further poor people for making the decisions that they have to make in order to survive is, quite frankly, classist.
Can I say something now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I'm going to explain how consumption and taxes work. When you increase the price of goods, people consume less. On average. If people are too fat right now, considering about 60% of the country is obese, I think that's a fairly good indicator that we're too fat. That means one thing. People are eating too many calories. Someone that's 5'8" or 5'9" should be consuming about 1,800 calories a day to maintain a weight of around 150 pounds. If you're eating 2,200, you'll weigh around 200 pounds. So to decrease the number of calories people consume, the easiest thing to do is to increase the cost of food so people buy less food. I don't care if a poor person spends more money on food. If they weigh 250 pounds, they're already consuming too much food.
Okay, so there's a huge number of problems with that. First thing is you are simply incorrect that if you are 200 pounds, that means definitionally that you're eating too much food. It means that
It
you're
does
eating
in
the wrong
99% of the cases. Most people don't have a thyroid issue.
Annabelle, I was so quiet and so respectful. You have to be quiet and be respectful.
I also talked for 1/10 of your time.
Lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. Okay,
Sass,
it's
is
my
that a
turn.
lie?
Don't put her in the middle. Put Tom in the middle.
Make Tom mod. I don't.
Yeah, make Tom run. Okay, so there's this thing. It's called elasticity of demand. Okay, that's my. This is my little
sound effects.
my little economics.
I don't need
class.
you to explain. I have a
Okay,
PhD in public policy.
Annabelle,
I know what
Annabelle,
elasticity
okay.
of demand is.
Annabelle. Okay. Elasticity. What it
Please
means.
explain. What percent change and percent consumption and price, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly
Yes,
correct.
I know what it is.
No, it's my turn. Jesus Christ. Okay, so here is the view. Okay. When you're talking about wealthy people, because the proportion of their income is so minuscule that they're spending on food, any tax that's levied on food, unless it's proportionate to income rather than proportionate to the cost of the actual food itself, is going to have a negligible effect on their food consumption. Okay? When we're talking about poor people, they're going to go with the cheapest option,
What
regardless
percent of
how.
the country is wealthy?
It's my turn.
I don't
They're
care.
going to go. Shh.
You're
It's
taking
okay.
too long. I understand
Annabelle,
what you're going
I'm
to
not.
say.
Hold on,
You keep on
Annabelle, let him-
interrupting.
let
The
him-
reason
let him
that I'm taking a long time is
Okay,
because you keep
I'll
on
be back in
interrupting.
5 minutes when he's done.
Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay. So the reason that people make the decisions that they do when they're poor in terms of their food intake is because they're going with the cheapest option and the fastest option just about all of the time. Because the reality is that if you live in a food desert, you don't have the time to spend the hour of transit that it takes to get from one end and the money that it takes in terms of transit to get from one end all the way to the supermarket, figure out something to do with your kids, because presumably you don't want them to come with you. If they do come with you, it's a total hassle, huge hassle. Then you have to come back. Meanwhile, This is 2 hours of time that you're not working. This is 2 hours of time that you're not resting for the next time that you're working. This is money. We're talking about serious money. Time is money, and that money is money that you do not have. So you will make the cheapest decision, regardless of how expensive that is. So what you're actually doing is not changing the outcomes of what people make unless you're able to make it so expensive that people are forced to take that 2-hour trip all the way over to, the Whole Foods and get the eggs and cheese at the Whole Foods, okay? Which people simply cannot afford to do, and you are throwing people into a situation that is even more desperate than the situation that they already are in by making it incredibly difficult to get something they literally need to survive. Go for it. And I'll be quiet this time, right? Just like I was last time,
They're 250
unlike you. Go for
pounds.
it.
They could live with less food. That's objectively true.
Is that the whole point, or should I wait for more point, or is that it?
Less food or just better food?
I mean,
Okay, so
better,
Annabelle.
better food. But
Okay,
I'm
so
concerned
Annabelle.
right now that people are overeating.
Why do you
care
think
what
that
they're eating. You
homeless
could
people
overeat
are
carrots.
fat?
I don't care. People are eating
Why
too
do you think that
much.
homeless people are fat?
Okay, let's not go with homeless people. They're
No, let's go with homeless people.
population.
They're the most desperately impoverished. Let's
They're
go with homeless people.
2% of the population. They're
the most
irrelevant.
desperately impoverished. If we're talking
care.
about
They're irrelevant.
what the effects are, if we're talking about the most, like the people who are most affected by urban poverty, which is the kind of people we're trying to talk about, those are people who are homeless, and the homeless people are among the most obese people in our society. Why? Because not because they're overeating, it's because they're eating the wrong kinds of food.
No,
because
it
they
is
don't have
because
other
they're
choices.
overeating.
Because
You
the
do
wrong
not
kinds of food are the cheapest
violate
kinds of
the
food.
laws of thermodynamics. You eat too much,
Jesus
you gain
Christ.
too much weight.
That's
you don't
not the
spontaneously
laws of
generate energy out of
thermodynamics.
air.
You genuinely, I encourage you to take a single class ever on food, okay? Because you clearly haven't. I'd encourage you ever to talk to a poor person, because you clearly haven't done that either, okay? Truly,
Real
I
quick.
encourage
Hold
you
on,
to
real
do
quick.
these
Hold on.
basic things.
Hold on,
Yes,
real
go
quick.
for it.
Homeless people are obese at a lower rate than the general population. So
I would assume that's.
Wait, show that. Show that statistic. I simply don't believe that. Where is that? Homelessness.
Your
Weight
portion
comparative.
sizes in America are insane. Like, I don't think you guys fully realize how
general public.
nuts it is.
That's true. If we had a different culture where people ate less without incentive, that'd be good. But clearly,
Or
that's not the case.
eat and then be more active, right? And have that good ratio,
But
right?
It takes 30 seconds to eat 300 calories, approximately. It takes 30 minutes to run
here's
off
from the
300
NIH.
calories.
Tom, you're incorrect. Here's the thing from the NIH. It says, despite the stereotypes of homeless population as underweight, the literature lacks a rigorous analysis of weight status in homeless adults. The purpose of this study is to present the body mass index (BMI) distribution in a large adult homeless population and compare this to the distribution of non-homeless population in the United States. Demographic, BMI, and socioeconomic variables from patients seen in 2007 to 2008 were collected from blah, 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 blah. The results are that, yes, homeless people are, in fact, heavier on average.
Okay, this is from Harvard. They found that obesity amongst the homeless people, 32.3%, was almost as high as among the general population, 33.7%. However, homeless women had a significantly higher percentage of obesity, 42.8%, than non-homeless people, women, 35.3%. So yeah. They're at 32.3. Okay, general population 33.7.
So okay, I don't want to get into like an NIH versus Harvard because they're both valid places. So let's just take the Harvard there. So therefore, what we're learning is that the obesity levels are not materially distinct. They're a little bit worse for the general public, but they're not materially distinct between people who are in the general public, who are not homeless, who are not desperately impoverished, comparative to homeless people, which would suggest to us that Annabelle's point about just eat less food is a stupid point, right?
It's true. Do you know how energy works? Where does it come from?
Yes, I understand how energy works.
Okay, what is a calorie?
Annabelle, what are we talking? What are we doing here?
A calorie is the amount of energy it takes to raise
the
temperature of water by 1 degree centigrade.
Okay.
It's
okay.
Energy.
Why is that relevant to the conversation?
Excess energy as glycogen and as fat. When you consume too much, your body will turn it into glycogen until your liver is filled, and then it will retain the rest of it as fat
Okay.
under a certain
Do you
conversion
think
rate.
do you think the solution to obesity is
Is
eat
to
less
eat
food?
less. Yes.
You don't think it has
Ask
to
any
do with eating
nutritionist.
healthier foods?
You could eat 4,000 calories of carrots
of apples
and still be
and
fat.
carrots? And you think that is the likely outcome of having a healthy diet, that if you have healthy foods, you're likely to become obese? You don't think that anything with the obesity crisis has to do, I don't know, with the kind of food
It
that
doesn't
people
matter.
are having?
I'm going with the market solution. You should be happy about this as a libertarian. You should want
Okay,
the market to
when
solve
I
it.
say I'm a libertarian, Bud, I'm a left libertarian. I'm a Georgist. I don't know if you were here for the first 3 hours of this, okay? But what you're describing is not the libertarianism I'm describing, okay? Yeah.
What do you
I'm saying
do?
that we should be focusing on making sure that there are healthy food options in food deserts. I'm saying that we should be investing
Most people
probably
don't
in
live in a food
public.
desert. 90% of the population does not live in a food desert.
Oh, sweetheart.
More than
Oh,
that.
sweetheart. Oh, sweetheart, that is a very foolish way of framing it. What do you think a food desert is?
A food desert is a place within I think a square mile, there's a certain number of supermarkets.
Uh-huh. 0.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And
There's
so-
almost none. When it comes to food
Okay.
deserts, there's
When we define food, this is actually this was one of the this was part of my my final paper for my major, which was a group project. Admittedly, it wasn't exclusively, but the one of our findings was that the definition of food deserts is a really bad one, and the reason is because we're defining it based on square miles, which is a dumb way to define it. It should rather be defined based on time and based on money, because that's what actually is experienced by the person, right? So if we're thinking about how many minutes does it take me from my place of living to get to, and how many dollars does it take me from my place of living to get to this place where I can get healthy food? And the answer in a lot of places, particularly in urban environments, but if you don't have a car, also in rural environments, which a lot of people who are desperately impoverished don't have a car, right? And so if we're talking about someone who either doesn't have a car or lives in a city where they are in a slum area of a city, right? These are people who it takes literally in excess of 30, 40, sometimes an hour long in transit just to get to, let alone to get back, healthy food. And when we talk about that in the context of finance, that is a very real cost. When we talk about that in the context of childcare, that is a very real cost. When we talk about that in the quality of life, right? That is a huge cost. And to expect people to make the correct, quote unquote, decision on a daily basis in relation to that without giving them the opportunity, the necessary underpinnings, which is to say access to healthy food close to where they live in order to succeed, is insane. To be spending all of this time and energy on let's take away options from poor people rather than let's give more options to poor people is stupid.
So everything that I've read on this says that it has nothing to do with food deserts. That me and Chase have talked about this before. Food deserts are irrelevant. Even if you open up fresh food places in impoverished areas, they
Because
will
they can
still
afford it.
buy. Right. So it has nothing to do with a food desert.
No, there's multiple conflict. Okay, so there's multiple things going on simultaneously. One thing is that because people have been conditioned, this is a social thing, because people have been conditioned to approach food in a particular way because of food deserts, there is therefore difficult to break out of that habit. That's one level. There's multiple levels though. The second level is that even once you have this food in the place that you're describing, it is still more expensive unless you heavily subsidize the healthy foods, which, to be clear, should not be done at the level of SNAP benefits, but rather should be done at the level of production. Right? We currently subsidize a heck of a lot on sugar, which is stupid, and we subsidize even more on corn, which is stupider. right? We should be subsidizing at the level of production things that are actually healthy, things that are actually going to benefit people on the consumption side, right? And that is not what we're doing. So that is part of the reason. It still is more expensive. There's more reasons, though. Another reason is that people have an approach to these that like even once they're in these neighborhoods, right? They are part of these new incoming developments. There's a sense in which, and this is also a social thing. There's a sense in which, and they're correct in this, the representation of this store coming into their neighborhood is a representation of gentrification. And that is something that people are very much concerned about, and it is something that very much people make conscious decisions to step away from. They continue to go to stores that have predated that which is considered to be gentrification because they're concerned about gentrification destroying their neighborhoods and destroying their ability to continue to live there.
Yeah, I don't know how we got over to this part.
Because Annabelle was saying nonsense.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's a little bit of everything, right? Because there's what Quibbles is saying, but also the factor of like, oh, you have 2 jobs, right? And you're exhausted and you don't want to spend an hour making food, right? So what are you going to do? What are you going to choose, right?
It doesn't normally take an hour to make food, though. Like, canned freaking soups take like 2 minutes to heat up in a microwave.
Oh
like,
my
it's
God.
not that. Seriously, it's not like there's.
Tom,
there's
is your
there's
answer
so-
really to have canned soup every night?
Not every night, no. But when people are talking about it taking an hour, it also doesn't take an hour to make food every night.
But I just
If
don't
you're
like
talking
how
about going to get the food as a component of getting the food.
If your
which you
option
have to-
is canned food every night or fast food every night, yes, I would say canned food every night for sure, 100%.
From a strict health perspective, I agree with you, but health is not the only component. People have lives. People want to feel like they're going out. People enjoy like having an experience of like not just constantly feeling like they're not able to be part
Tom,
of
don't do
society.
that.
Don't do that.
No,
Poor
okay,
people
wait.
are still people.
Do
Poor
we
people
not-
I'm
still
poor
want-
people, bro.
No,
I'm poor people. I am responsible with my money. Like
Cool.
it's not. It's like
Cool.
acting like
But,
oh,
like,
Do you never
can't
go out to
expect
McDonald's?
people.
but do you not feel weird that we're like poor people? Okay, this is you are a
This
child.
doesn't feel like
So we're gonna,
incredibly like
tell you what to do.
patronizing and like. By the way, I say patronizing, not patronizing, because this is distinctly British. Okay, like all of this shit. This doesn't like reek of like I am better than these people. I know better than these people. These people shouldn't be allowed to make their own decisions. I am smarter than them.
Meanwhile, rich, obese people, you're like, you
I'm
don't
telling
care.
you,
Totally
we should
good
tax all food.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's kind of bullying to talk to Annadelle, not Tom, because I do feel like he's a walking straw man. Yeah.
It's okay. I think you're a retard, so whatever you think about me is probably.
Oh,
that's
come
rude.
on.
That's rude. You just said something rude. I would never say anything rude in my life. You just said something
Yeah,
rude.
okay.
I have been very
I'm
clear
a
that
walking straw man.
I don't care at all. Quibbles, you do talk for way too freaking long. This is why every time you start talking, I end up interrupting you. It's because you make your point in the first like couple words and then still make it like 5 more times afterwards. I'm like, I don't care. I'm interrupting now. Like,
I would never do that. I would never do that. I've learned from the best.
Yeah.
Just, Sass, I'm confused by you. You should be fine with the government giving behavioral incentives.
Not all lefties are authoritarian hellhole tankies.
Do you think that we shouldn't stop pollution?
What?
What do you mean?
That was
That's the
Wait,
government
wait, wait,
directing
wait.
behavior.
Yeah, you have to
What?
change behavior in order
stop.
to
Stop. Can
stop
we talk like
pollution.
stop talking in extremes here? Like
No.
That's not an extreme.
That's
You're
the-
saying
no. What I'm saying is like
No. That's an
what
absurd thing for you to say. Oh, yo.
Stop. Okay,
I'm sorry.
acknowledge that
I'm very quiet.
You
There can
you
be
literally took like
restrictions.
another minute to explain why you were stopping talking. Like, it's... So, go ahead, Sass.
I'm very quiet.
like I said earlier, like we can all acknowledge, I think most people can say there should be some form of restrictions. Like it can't just be like, I'm going to throw money at this and then whatever. So, but then it's like deciding where those restrictions are and how extreme. it is, right?
Yeah, again, you keep
That's
getting
where
into the
we-
pragmatics where we're talking about.
Yes,
like-
because you're
Hold on.
always like, what's happening in the real world?
No,
Well,
no, no,
yes, let's talk about
Hold
what's
on.
actually happening.
Yes, we can get there
'Cause-
if we all agreed that this wasn't Sass. If you agreed and said, "Hey, this isn't an immoral thing to do," I just don't think it's pragmatic. Then that would be the conversation. But we can't
Except
get to
in
the
both ways.
pragmatics if nobody even agrees that this is an okay thing to do in the first place, right?
But
Okay,
even you
so the
guys who are like
pollution-
okay with the government being involved, you too have a limit of how involved you want the government to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Wait, but again,
From
that's
my
we can't
perspective-
even get
Why
that far.
doesn't the government? Wait, Annabelle, I just want a quick answer to this question. Okay, why doesn't the government mandate that I work out once a week?
why? It's not efficient.